Hi Tiffany, how are you doing today?
Better.
That's good. So what we're going to do today, this is our fourth session, and so we're gonna do kind of like the usual, but with a different topic today. And so we're going to review a little bit about our mood monitor that we talked about last week.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So how have things been going this week? Is there anything that you're thinking about? Or?
No, it's been okay. Work's been creating demands, and you just gotta do what work tells you to do. So.
Are you feeling like you're not enjoying your job, or what do you?
No,
you love it?
I like my job.
Yeah.
I really like it, but it's just sometimes it's stressful.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I can see how work can make you very worried about like the paycheck, and then you have to do things. So we can decide. We can, from that stress. I don't know if you would like to work on that today about the stress and about your particular situation, what you're working, and for today. Is that fine?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to go over the mood monitor.
Okay.
I haven't shown you this before, but we have looked at other mood monitors, and this is called the 3-column mood monitor, and the other ones were organized a little bit more different, but this one looks at things a little bit different. So right here, if you notice, there's a situation column, and then there's an emotion column rating, and also a thought. And so the way that this works is that since there's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then the following days, it like every day you write down the situation that happened that day, and you're rating. You're rating according to the. Do you remember about the? Let me see. About the emotions thermometer.
Oh,
Yeah. Like we've previously talked about that, the emotions thermometer, where there's a scale of 10 to 0, and 10 rating that you had a really bad experience, and then 0 meaning that you had a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually the other way around. 10 meaning you were feeling good, and then 0 meaning that you were feeling bad.
Okay.
And so that's what this emotion rating refers to. You would put the emotion, so let's say depressed or sad or angry, and you would rate it according to how you felt. Okay, and so the situation in the situation section is where you would put where you were, who were you with, and what was happening in that moment. And then, so the way that this works is you do the situation, and then emotion, and then the thought. And the thought is basically what you were thinking at that time. So I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making it clear. Does this?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So what we can do is kind of review some examples, give some examples. So is there anything that you can think of that happened this week? Any situation where you felt really low, or you felt angry embarrassing?
Well, I guess there was an incident where my boss came in and said that the evaluations were ready, our annually evaluations were ready, and that we had to do that today. And so, like, went in or whatever to do the evaluation, and my boss was like, you're not performing like you used to. You need to perform better, and if you don't, then you're gonna be fired. So that was pretty hard.
Wow.
It was probably I'd probably say like a 2.
Like a 2? Oh wow. So what were you feeling?
Just that sad and angry and a little upset, like, I don't know, just like a mix of emotions or whatever, like, starting to think that, I'm not a good employee, that, they're not I'm not what they want, that they want someone different, they want someone more competent, or,
So you feel like you're not capable of doing the job?
No, not that I'm not capable. I feel like they think I'm not capable.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm capable of doing the job, but I think that they think that I'm not capable.
Oh. Well, that's good that you have you support yourself, like you believe in yourself. And it's just the thoughts about other people is what kind of brings you down.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's understandable to feel that way, to feel like angry and feel a mix of emotions, about your boss and what maybe your other coworkers are thinking. So that's an example. That's a good example for this. And so the situation was that your boss told you that you're not working as well as you were before, and you feel that. And then the emotion is that you're angry and sad, and you said your rating was a 2, right? Okay. So, you did mention some of the things that you were thinking. You said that you, let me see, you were thinking that they didn't think that you were able to be competent, right? Is there anything that you were thinking about?
That I'm not a good employee, or that I'm not what they want. That they want someone more competent. That's just pretty much it. And then of course I'm also too upset because that means that I won't get my yearly raise, and I kind of really needed that. But he said, I guess it sucked in that time frame, but he said that he's gonna work with me over the next 6 months to help me get through whatever it is that's bothering me, or stopping me from being able to perform at the level that I performed at before. And then hopefully within the next 6 months he'll be able to give me my raise. And then after that, and then he did agree that if during that 6 months I do improve, that he'll back pay the 6 months raise. So, he's being really helpful and really supportive and working with me through what I've been going through. So he's very understanding, and I'm appreciative of that, but he also is, making it clear that if for some reason I don't, do what I need to do, that he has to make the decision to let me go. And, he's told me he doesn't want to let me go because he says I'm a valued employee, but I don't sometimes feel that way, So,
Yeah, that makes sense. That of why you would feel stressed. That's good that he's being willing to help you out and guide you. But yeah, it is stressful throughout those months that you have to like. But if you don't,
Yeah.
progress and but so yeah, so that could be very stressful. So yeah. Okay, so that's what we can continue talking about that what you're worried about and other about the topic that we're going to talk about today, so we can kind of connect it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So now let's review the homework that you did this week.
Oh, yeah.
So did you bring that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so let's take a look at it. So you did complete it. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Okay, so that's good. That's great that you made an attempt to complete some of the activities. So, as you remember, the homework assignment was to try to do some pleasant activities.
Right.
Yeah, so that you can. The main focus was so that you're not thinking about like the negative things. You're not thinking about the depression, or you're worried about things, but you're focused more on the activity. And so last week we talked about you listed dancing, you listed reading, listening to music, singing, and walking, and so. How did you feel about this assignment?
I mean, it was okay. Like, I don't really see that I'll be doing too much dancing. And the other ones were like okay, but it's like kind of hard to do some stuff because I got kids and I'm a single parent and stuff, so kind of getting some of these things in is kind of difficult. Like, come home and I do laundry and cook and help them with their homework and get them bathed and dressed and ready to bed and and so then have to turn around and get up the next morning, to do it all over again. So I just kind of like, I guess my biggest thing is I take it like a day at a time and do the things that I need to do, and it doesn't leave much room for me to do anything for myself. And I don't really have family that's too close. I mean, they're semi-close, but they've got their own lives too, and they're busy, and it's not like I can be like, hey, I'm kind of struggling today, can you take the kids or whatever for me for like the weekend or a day or so, because they work weekends, so it's not. And then of course they don't really want they love my son, but they don't want him too much because he has difficulties listening. He's got ADHD, and so he's a little bit more hands-on than my daughter.
So you have like a busy schedule.
Yeah, and that's part of my busy schedule too, is to manage his extracurricular activities so that way his ADHD doesn't get full-blown out of proportion. And then of course I'm trying to manage his diet because he can't have certain foods that kind of activate him more. So it just kind of makes it a little like, it's hard.
Yeah, I like to fit that in. Would it be a good idea to do like some type of activities at least once a week, or would that be?
I don't know. I could try maybe doing it once a week, and then seeing if I can increase it slowly over time. Maybe, I don't know.
And you can also do these activities with your kids also.
Yeah, like we did the listening to music and singing like while we were cleaning the house. Because the house needed to be cleaned, and I was tired of always having to clean it, so I made sure that like all the TVs were turned off, all the remotes were put up, and we went to work cleaning the house together because with music or whatever, like my son likes that song Uptown Funk You Up.
Oh. Oh, yeah, I know.
So, and then of course he also likes Happy, so we tried to put both those songs on, and my daughter likes, she's kind of a weird one. She enjoys instrumental music. She...
You mean like hardcore?
No, like
Oh, just instrumental?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
No words. She likes.
Oh, okay.
And she likes some of the weirder stuff. Like, there was a Christmas song that was instrumental. It was Wizards of something. I can't remember the full title of the song, but it now had the word wizards in it, and she like loves that song or that music to it or whatever. So we have that incorporated in it, and it's kind of weird because it's Christmas, but whatever works.
Yeah, actually, I'm like that also. I like instrumental and Christmas music, so I'm probably like weird too. But that's a good way to probably also not only interact with your kids, but also a way for you to calm yourself down and to not focus on other things, but focus on like the present. And so maybe for the next times we can maybe not write down things that might take time, but things that you can do with your kids and you can put in your schedule. Is something that might help out. And so yeah, according to your situation.
Okay.
So yeah, and did you feel like you learned anything from listening to the music?
Well, I mean, I've always known that, like, I'm kind of musical in a sense. Like, I love musicals. I love listening to music. I'm kind of more of a ballad type person. I love ballads. Softer, slower, deeper meaning songs. Things that kind of speak to your soul. So that much I do know, but I like some of the funner stuff. I like a lot of the Disney songs because I think they're cute and they're quirky and fun. And,
like Frozen.
Yeah, and we can, me and my kids, we can be crazy and fun with that. So that's all incorporated into all of it, like Frozen, Lion King, all that kind of stuff. Whatever is all part of it.
I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just kind of makes for like a little bit. Easier time with all that. So, and my mom used to play the piano when I was a child, so I'm very familiar with that. I was in choir, in church, in school, even though my siblings, sibling nieces, consider me tone deaf, but it's not really that. It's, I have a hole in my ear drum, so I don't hear things quite right. Like I have to put like the microphone back here for me to be able to hear it right. Because going through here, the waves don't get to the proper area. Like they bounce off and ricochet and make a different sound than what I'm really supposed to hear. So really and truly, I'm not tone deaf. I'm just deaf.
I never heard of that. Wow.
Yeah, it's reduced hearing issues or whatever. So, but yeah, I like to sing. So when I listen to the songs, especially in the car, that's like the first thing I do when I get in the car after work. I turn on either an audiobook or song that music, my playlist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on what mood I am in. Sometimes lately I've been listening to audiobooks because singing really just, I do too much talking with school, and that's just not with school and work, and I really don't care to what do you call it? Like talk anymore or singing, like the singing and my voice is just tired. So listening to the audiobooks just kind of helps me to still relax, and kind of dive into like a fantasy world because I like fantasy fiction, and relax my voice at the same time. I get tired of talking.
Yeah, I feel like we have so much in common in that area. Yeah, I know that singing, it really helps you relax, and it helps you, especially when you're using like the technique, and because you are using your voice and you can control it, and that's why I know a lot of people like to sing. A lot of people are into that because that's one of the things that they can control, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. But yeah, it really helps like when you're in stress and things like that. So that could be a good idea for doing a good activity for throughout the weeks that we have sessions. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to move into the topic for today.
Okay.
And the topic is problem solving.
Okay.
And so we have learned a few new skills such as the mood monitoring, the goal setting, increasing the pleasant activities, and identifying thoughts that are connected to depressions and thoughts. So this is the new topic for today. Okay. So as you continue to do those other skills that we learned before, this new skill will help you to use it whenever you face a problem. And since everyone goes through and faces through difficult situations, it can lead people to feel like discouraged, to feel even depressed, and so that's why this would be very beneficial for this, so that it doesn't lead to the depression or hopelessness and things like that, and so that you're able to control more of your stressful times and things like that. Okay, so some of the things that we can play into the problem solving is like you mentioned before about let's see, there was also the time you didn't have time with your what's the first thing that you had difficulties with your son, that you had to help him out control his ADHD, you said, right? And so that's an example that we can work on. And then I know there was another example that we talked about earlier. Do you remember the first one?
An example of
that you had stress. You were stressing out about your work, about your job.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can apply that to the problem solving. Okay. Okay, so let me introduce you to the problem solving. So one good way to problem solve is sometimes we have to like look at another person's situation. So because it's just easier to help them out than actually looking at our own problems.
Okay.
You know, and so here is a letter, and it is a teenager that is writing to somebody that will solve their problem. And so, can you go ahead and read it?
Okay. My problem is my math teacher. She's a real pain. Last week she was on my case for not getting all my homework in on time. She said that she did not care that I had to do extra hours at my job that one night, and I still have the responsibility to get the work in. She doesn't seem to like me. She says I've got an attitude. The truth is, I just don't like math. I never have. Why would we have to take algebra anyways? I'll never use that in my work. What a waste. Now I'm behind in the course and I can't follow what she's teaching on the board. And I'm in my senior year. If I flunk, I won't pass for the year or graduate with my class in June. What should I do?
Okay. So that's an example of another teenager going through another situation. And so, what would you say the problem is? What is the problem in this scenario? If you want, you can look at it still.
That her problem is that she's struggling with her math.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, she has to work extra hours or whatever, but you know, we have to do whatever we have to do to you know, manage and focus and stuff and everything. So it just seems like she's struggling with her math and maybe not necessarily communicating what her true issues or concerns are.
Okay. So can you think of any possible solutions for her? Like, what would you say to her?
I'd probably tell her to look into getting a tutor. Maybe a peer tutor, someone in class or whatever that's like at the top of the class to help her, or you know, another math teacher. Maybe I know when I was in high school there was math teachers that I got along better with or understood their teaching style, and just because they teach maybe like a lower math or a higher math doesn't mean that they can't help with the current math that you're in. Maybe they don't teach that subject, but they can. It's not like they couldn't. So then maybe like seeking help from them, or some high schools will have like, you know, tutoring sessions or stuff. Or there's there could be maybe something in the community. So, because I know my kids go to like an after school program, and it goes all the way up to high school age, so that way they can get extra help on their homeworks while I'm at work. So maybe there's something like that. I know several churches do that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, those are great solutions. So those are good possible solutions. And so so right here, we have a possible solution. So basically writing down everything, like possible solutions. So like, we don't have to write it down right now. This is just an exercise for today. So you said that maybe seeking out for tutoring, seeking out, and maybe a church gives out tutoring, talking to the teacher and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. So there was the tutoring, the church tutoring.
Or maybe just seeking out another teacher that they kind of learn better from, because I know some kids don't. Sometimes it's like the teaching style that the current teacher has, and maybe they just don't understand or can't follow because it's not jiving with their learning style.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they just need a different teacher to kind of explain it to them, to break it down for them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Actually, I never thought of that. I always thought about like talking to the actual teacher, but some teachers are not so open, and so probably talking to another teacher might help. So, was there another one you mentioned?
Or maybe like the school has like on campus tutoring, or peer tutoring.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Maybe asking their parent to help, or ideas to help them if they have a parent or caregiver, maybe a sibling or something, a family member, something. Just different things.
Okay. So, what we can do is evaluate each of these. We can look at the pros and cons of a couple of these, and then we can decide which one might be the best, or which one might be the most beneficial for this person.
Okay.
And so, tutoring at the school or peers, is there any cons to that?
Well, with peers, whatever, then it might feel like they're being judged because they're lesser than the other peer, and the other peer might feel that they're better than them.
Yeah. And let's see. And then some pros.
Well, even though that, there might be that conflict of them, one peer feeling better than the other and the other feeling worse than the other, that might create a bond.
Like a connection.
A connection, and create new friendships for the two of them. Because maybe they weren't friends. Maybe they didn't really know each other.
Okay, so how about the tutoring at a church? Any pros?
Again, it would also open up a possibility of socialization.
And cons?
Transportation might be an issue, or maybe parents might not be okay with the child going to a religious affiliation.
Okay. And what about pros of talking to another teacher?
Well, getting one-on-one help, or maybe talking to a teacher that you feel more comfortable with to get a better understanding of the math.
And what about cons?
It might upset your current teacher.
And pros of parent help or caregiver or family member?
It might help create a stronger bond between the family member or parent, because they feel that the child is comfortable with going to them for their problems.
Okay, and cons?
It could possibly destroy the relationship because fighting over homework tends to ensue between parents and child.
Okay, so which one do you think would be a reasonable solution for her?
I'm thinking probably 3, because it might be an issue where 3 being the talking to the other teacher. It might be an issue where she's just not, she or he is not getting the support they need from the current teacher or the direction they need from the current teacher.
Okay, so that's good. So thank you for helping me out on this particular solution. That's good because you thought of your own ideas, and then it's good to actually choose a solution. At least pick one instead of just letting it be like overwhelmed about like I don't know what to do, and just like on this situation, her stressing about failing the math. And so yeah, so this was a good exercise to think about that. I'm going to go over this concept. It's called a method. It's called the rib-eye method. And as you can see here, rib-eye stands for like these concepts in order to problem solve. So that we can like remember more easier. You know, you think about like a rib and an eye, or you could think about like the actual ribs that you eat, and you got your eye on the rib. And so that way you can remember it a little bit more easier. So it's basically kind of like what we did right now is, so the R stands for relax, I stands for identify the problem, B stands for brainstorm, and E stands for evaluate each possible solution, Y is yes to one, and E, encourage yourself. And so just like how we helped out this person in the letter, we can do that with yourself. And so so we're going to go over this briefly. And relax, meaning and I know we kind of like went over it before about knowing how to relax, and just like how I have this sheet. We had this sheet before, but just to briefly look at it, it's about what helps me to relax. And then here are the things like listening to music. There's taking a walk, deep breathing, and you checked off like what were the things that made you relax. And so so just remember that's relax. And just one major point is to try not to solve the problem while you are mad or upset, or while you're depressed, because that can lead to bad consequences, because you can do the wrong thing while you're angry. And so that's why it's good to first try to calm down, relax, and then later try to solve the problem. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the next one is identify the problem, which is what we did. We said it on your example about your, we talked about earlier about your boss told you that you have 6 months to improve. So that would be identifying the problem. And then with the girl, she was failing in her math. And so usually we want to identify problems that are not in our control. Because we need to focus on what you can't control in order. I don't know if it makes sense, but like when it's somebody else's control, when it's our control, it's better, we can kind of control it better. But when it's a situation we cannot control, we have to learn how to deal with it, how to how to deal with the problem. And so yeah, okay. And then brainstorm is what we did, how when we wrote down the different solutions that can happen.
Okay.
And then E, evaluate each possible solution, is when we wrote down the pros and the cons for each one. And yes to one is that we at least chose one of the solutions to actually implement to solve the solution. And then encourage yourself is, I don't know if you realized, but I mentioned that I thanked you for thinking of ideas and think of solutions. And so one good thing to encourage yourself is just tell yourself, oh, like when you apply it to your own situation, tell yourself, oh, at least I picked one. And then even if it wasn't the right decision or it wasn't the best, as you realize later, then at least tell yourself, like, at least I picked something and I did something about it. And if it was a great decision, then encourage yourself also that, oh, you did a good job. That was a great decision, like, to yourself. Okay, so yeah, so this will help you how to get better control over your life. Okay? Okay. So we can, and this is a worksheet. It's the rib eye worksheet, and it's basically like what we talked about. So briefly, what we can do is mention what can you do to relax. Oh, we talked about the music. So so that's an example of something that you can relax so that you can calm down. So and then we also talked about how your boss told you about that you have 6 months to improve, and then brainstorm. So let's talk about. So what's a couple things that you can think about? Any solutions for that particular situation?
Maybe like writing out a to-do list, like the last 15 minutes of work for the next day. Managing a schedule of when I need to do certain things, like timing out how long certain things should take, so then that way I can kind of keep myself on task.
Okay. So what would be, is that like two different things, to-do list and?
Yeah,
okay.
2 different things, yeah.
Okay. A to-do list, what would be a pro?
It would help me focus for the next morning, so that way I'm not sitting there in the morning wondering what I need to do or dilly-dallying around or talking, It would help me to focus my day.
What would be a con?
That maybe I get stuck on the to-do list when something happens that needs emergency attention, and I can't seem to let go of my to-do list because I have that list, but this emergency needs to be taken care of.
How about a pro for managing schedule with the time?
It would keep me on task and ensure that I finish things in a timely manner, be more efficient.
Okay. And what about a con?
A con to a schedule would be that maybe I don't have room to fit in
Like time?
Spontaneous things or stuff.
Okay. So which of these two do you believe would be the best solution?
I'm thinking probably the to-do list.
Okay. And what are some things you can say to encourage yourself for making that decision?
I don't know. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, good job. So basically this will help you. You can take this home and kind of apply it to different things in life, like about your son, about other things that you're worrying about. And so, yeah, I'll give that to you. Okay, and so that concludes our topic, and then applying it to your actual stresses. And so the homework is to continue the increasing pleasant activities, and then also completing this 3-column,
Okay.
and which is the first one that we went over. So just continue doing the pleasant activities, and then also this the 3-column mood monitor.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you want to talk about, or anything that you need to go over? Questions?
No.
Okay. So how did you feel about today?
Oh, it was fine.
You think this will be helpful?
Yeah, it might be helpful. I don't know just yet. I'll have to see if I can apply it when I'm actually stressed out, because right now I'm not really stressed. So.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because you're in a safe environment. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well then, this was a good session. Thank you for coming in, and I will see you next week.
All right. Thank
you.